Okay, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be working on starting a basic project in Adobe Premiere Pro, getting some media into that project, and just taking a look at the basic interface. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you're starting a project is you're going to want to have your media in one location on your computer. I would recommend just putting out all of your video clips, all of your music, all of your pictures that you're going to use in a project into one folder. If you start that from the beginning of a project, you'll be in really good shape as you continue. But after you get your media into a folder, what you're going to do is you're going to open Premiere. On the computer, if you don't have a Premiere icon in your dock, what you can do is you can go to the magnifying glass in the upper right hand corner and you can search Premiere. If you just type the first few letters, Adobe Premiere Pro will appear. Double click it and open that up to start a new project. Now, as this loads, what you have to realize is that Premiere Pro is pretty powerful software. There are a lot of options for it, and a lot of times people are intimidated when they first start out and try to do a project because it's not easy to learn and to know what everything does initially. But once you learn a few basic concepts and see where things are, you can build off of those. So all you really have to do is start slow and get going on a project, and you can kind of teach yourself as you go along once you get the basics down. And that's what we'll try to do here today. So you're going to open a new project, and you're always going to want to name that project. And for this, I'm just going to name that project Intro. Now, this is important, and a lot of people forget this step, but what you're going to want to do is you have to look at location here right below name, and I'm going to click on Browse right to the right of that location area, and I'm going to select Desktop because I've saved all of my media for this project on the desktop in one folder, and I'm going to save this project in that folder also. So I selected Desktop on the left, and I'm going to select this folder where I have my media, and I'm just going to press choose, and now that project will be saved in that folder on the desktop. And when you first open this up, what you're going to do is you're going to get a view by default, hopefully in the editing view, that looks like this. And I would talk about this view using 4 quadrants. In the upper left hand corner, you have first of all your source monitor. In the upper right hand corner or quadrant, you have your program monitor. In the lower left hand quadrant, you have your project monitor. In the lower right hand quadrant, you have your timeline. But what we have to do to start off here is we have to get some media into your project. So what I'm going to do right here where it says import media to start in the lower left hand quadrant is I'm going to double click that, and I'm going to navigate to wherever I have the media for this project, and I'm just going to select that folder and I'm going to import it. So now in the lower left hand quadrant of my screen in the project tab here, I have a folder, and I've got a bunch of video clips in here. But if I look through these clips, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select a clip, I'm going to double click it, and then that clip opens in my source monitor. Now your source monitor is your raw footage, and I can come up here and place my cursor anywhere I want, and I can just start to play that clip and see what it looks like. And then I can scrub through this clip just by taking this cursor, dragging to the right, dragging to the left, and exploring a little bit of what's in here. But I'm going to mark this clip in where I want it to start. So I'm going to put my cursor somewhere where I want this shot to start, and I'm going to click mark in. And then I'm going to drag to the right where I want this to end. I'm going to click mark out. And then there are 3 options of what you can do. If I only wanted the video from this shot, I could select this icon here, drag video only. If I only wanted the audio from it, I could select this icon and say drag audio only. But if I want the video and the audio, I'm just going to click right on this. I'm going to drag it to the lower right hand quadrant, which is the timeline, and I'm going to drop that right there. So now what I have down here in the lower right hand quadrant is this first shot that I've marked in and out in my source monitor, and I've drug it down here to my timeline. And if I come down to my timeline, I can scrub through that clip the same way with my cursor, or I can press play, and if you look here in my program monitor, I now see that shot. And whatever you see in your program monitor is what is in your final project. So if you see it in the upper right hand screen here, the program monitor, it is in your final video. Over on the left, your source monitor is just your raw footage. Now what I can do is I can also do some further adjustments to this clip after I've put it in my timeline. If I want it to be shorter, like let's say I wanted this clip to end at this mark, I could just take my cursor, put it at the end of this clip all the way on the right, and drag back to the left, and that would shorten it. Or I can shorten it from the left to the right. I could extend that clip out, or I can use some of these tools over here to the left of my timeline, and a tool that you'll use often is the razor tool. So if I click on the razor tool, I could split this clip, and then I could just have it end right here if I wanted to, and just highlight what I don't want and press delete, and that would be gone. So then after I have my first shot, if I want to add another shot to this timeline, to my project, I would just come back and double click my media again, and I would find a new clip to add. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrub through this clip. I'm going to mark it in where I want it to begin. Drag to the right, mark it out where I want it to end. I'm going to select this, I'm going to drag it down to my project. Okay? Now I have my first shot, and that's going to go right to my next shot. Alright? There are a lot of other things that we will do to create a final video project, but this is just intended to get you started. We've started a new project, we've imported some media into that project, we've then marked the clips in and out and added them to our timeline. And you could have an infinite number of clips down here. For right now we have 2, and that will get us started. When I'm finished with this project, or I want to take a break, I'm just going to come up to the upper left hand corner of the screen, I'm going to press File, Save, and that will save that in the folder that I chose to create the project in initially, and then I can close the application.